Oh my god, here we are. It is inside the PFL. Week 2 of Season 8. I am your former champion, El Zubador, Joe. Joined, as I am, ever, always, ever, by Kokamish Manny.
Former champion.
Also,
Manny, thank you very much.
also former champion, and not joined by also not former champion. Excuse me, Mario, because he has work. And
Ooh, the burn.
schedule got a little freaky deaky going into PFL week. This might be the first inside the PFL we've done technically in the next battle week, but that don't matter. It's time to go over some of week 2 here. How did you feel about week 2 overall, Manny?
Week 2 was absolutely crazy, man. We had a +6. We had a controversy. We had hacks for days. We had some good matches. It was absolutely crazy. Best week of the season yet.
I agree. And if you noticed as well, almost everybody. We can bring up the standings right here real quick. If you look at the standings after 2 weeks here, Manny, only 2 people remain undefeated, yourself included.
Damn straight.
However, and I guess we'll get to Garrison here. Garrison happens to be, +6 ahead of you.
Yeah. I mean, if I faced Thomas, I would have +14 by now.
Let's go ahead and move on to your battle here, actually. The first battle that we'll be talking about, the first battle of the week, of course, was yourself versus Gage here. So go ahead and take me into your battle versus Gage.
What do you mean, like specifics?
Whatever you want to talk about with it. I'm letting you take the reins.
I was previewing his team, and I was like, no way. Son Venusaur just runs the train. I was like, if I could just weaken Muck a little bit, I was going to be able to 2-tap with Sludge Bomb, and I eventually only needed to 2-tap with Giga Drain during the match, but I saw my opening, and then I was like, how do I get around all these threats? And then I realized that Weather Ball changes types in the weather, and then I was like, I can run HP Rock now, and I was like, there's nothing standing in my way.
So you drafted the Sun Core, Sun Kit, whatever you might want to call it. Kit. Yeah, because it's not a core, not necessarily, it's a facet of your team. It is not a core piece of your team. Of Torkoal and Venusaur, one cannot survive without you might bring one without the other, but they work best in tandem. And we saw that here, where basically all you needed to do was just, if something on your side died, send in Torkoal, and, you gave ample opportunity for Torkoal to die, but it didn't, so you got like 2 or 3 opportunities to set up Sun for Venusaur.
Yeah, I mean, when I first set up the Sun, just trying to get a clean switch into Venusaur, it ended up with 2 kills, and then the second time it ended up with 4 kills. But it was very odd playing a game when you have Sun and Ditto, because I was trying to play 2 hands of the sword here, and I'm glad it didn't bite me in the butt. I was trying to bait him into setting up, and then sweeping with Ditto, but he just couldn't get around the Sun Core, so I valued that over Ditto. That was like the big game plan there.
Yeah, and welcome Murphy to the chat here. Yes, I did. Manny, did you see that while we were waiting for you on Friday, I decided to stream Pinball Arcade for a little bit. With nobody watching, I attempted to get Mario in on it, and then just...
almost every dragon has set up, and then Volcarona is absolutely terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
So just having Ditto back there and just daring him to set up was, my back pocket. It's really, really hard playing with Ditto because you're basically playing 5-on-6. But if you do enough prep and you can play 5-on-6, you're basically just like neutering, because he brought all of his setup too. So I basically neutered his entire strategy because he couldn't find a way around Ditto.
We'll get to that, James. James is in the chat as well here. Actually, let's get to that right now. Is Baton Pass banned yet? Because I don't think we've got the necessary amount of votes.
Let's see here. Let me go back here, because I clarified in the thing here. I'm going to count up the votes here.
Because Because I can't vote, and Mario can't vote.
I said there is a league-wide vote on whether to allow baton pass for the remainder of the season or not. We need 9 votes to pass. That's half the league. Tie vote will be broken by you, Joe, because you're a non-competing member.
Mm-hmm.
And then the very last line was, if people don't vote, since this was a hot fix, we will pass whatever motion based on the number of votes total. So
all right.
we had only one person. I'm going to take Dan's vote as a no because he said he likes baton pass, but not the sub.
Right.
And that wasn't part of the rule. That wasn't part of the vote. Like, that wasn't an option in the vote.
Right.
It was ban or not ban.
It was just yes or no.
Take his as a no ban. And even then, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm 5.
Murphy's not sure if he voted, so if Murphy's not among those votes,
5
he's also voting
1.
yes.
Murphy's voting yes, and then 6-1 then. So baton pass is officially banned.
Let's stamp it right there, right on stream, right in the live broadcast. Baton pass is officially banned. James, if you need to get rid of Scolipede, let me know, because we'll hotfix that too. I told James he could get rid of Scolipede if he wanted.
No, that's totally valid. We've done that in the past with like quick rule changes.
That still counts as a trade, though. That'll still count as a pickup, rather. So, all right, let me move my things here. We'll move off of Gage and Manny. Go into Game 2. The only other person who is 2-0, as we stated, Garrison getting the +6.
Do we even have to talk about this game?
All right, so there are a few things. There are a few things that I want to at least go over here. Thomas decided to go into Tarakian, or no, not Tarakian, excuse me, Haxorus, turn 3. Which, not the best idea, I don't think.
I like the early aggressiveness. I'm not like, well, the turn 3 thing isn't the part that bothers me. The thing is that Haxorus can 2-hit KO Venusaur at +1. So there was the Swords Dance versus Dragon Dance thing, like, you could have Dragon Danced and still been in the same KO range.
Right, and have been
being +2 doesn't change the 2-hit to a 1-hit.
Right, and he would have been faster than Frostlass, which means he wouldn't have had to deal with Destiny Bond. He would have been faster than just about everything. The only thing on there that was not taking hits on Garrison's team might just like Empoleon, maybe, but like that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, and if he brought the Pocket Earthquake, then Empoleon just knocked over.
Same thing with Terrakion, too, if he needed it. You know, if he wasn't locked into anything.
Yeah, that was my only issue. Is I value going +1/1 with Haxorus over +2.
I agree, because almost everything that Garrison had, not almost, like a good things that would have caused a problem were faster than 97, which was the problem.
I feel like +1 speed, +1 attack Haxorus is much more threatening than +2 attack Haxorus.
Right. Yeah.
Because like +1 Haxorus is still going to blow something back, and it's going to you can't make a safe, like somebody's going to die because you can't make a safe switch because now he's essentially scarfed.
Right.
So by going +2, like he might kill something, but now you can go into something that immediately threatens him out, like Frostlass.
Exactly. I want to say as well, Terrakion cutting holes through people. I'm going to say Terrakion's the early season MVP right now. I'm putting it in.
Terrakion is a problem to get around. Garrison's using him very well. He's, both games, Terrakion was the Toyota keys to the game. If Garrison keeps this up, I don't see any reason why Terrakion can't earn regular season MVP. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, Joe, we're going to start doing it.
Yeah, as I wrote that down, I was like, why don't we do MVP? I don't know how you garner votes. I'm sure that there's advanced metrics we can look at, but I'm lazy, and I don't want to do that.
Advanced metrics.
It's like you were doing the one season when we only had like 8 people where you could check and see like KD ratio, basically, and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was keeping track of everyone's KD.
Where the Infernape that you had that was basically MVP that season, it did die at least once, I'm guessing.
It died one time in 9 games, I think. 8 games.
Because I think, I mean, it must have, unless you didn't bring it against the championship, in the championship match against Thomas, I think it was that season.
I think I did.
So, well, still, regular season MVP, definitely in for an ape that time, and something we can look at.
Oh yeah,
Murphy, if you want to do that,
18-1.
If you want to do that, Murphy, that's perfectly fine. If you if you want to check, I don't know about damage calcs and things, but because then it heavily favors offensive Pokemon if we do KD, but I mean something like Chansey could get in there if you wanted. I mean
Chansey's definitely in the running after these last 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. So there are other factors, but things like KD or damage can definitely help out. So if you want to, for a price, fuck off. I don't get paid for any of this shit. All right.
Get out of here.
Let's go ahead. Next up, we got the unluckiest game ever, maybe?
I think ever.
Tristan getting the +3 over Rob at one point in this match. Now, you owe a lot of this victory to Alolan Exeggutor because it Harvest, Substitute, Leech Seed made me want to die.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But there was a point in this match where Snorlax was out. And he got fully paralyzed. Full paralysis is what, a 33% chance, I believe? 25?
Yes. 33. I think they reduced it.
Okay. 5 times in a row.
He got paralyzed 4 times in a row.
Oh, 4 times in a row, excuse me.
Then he unparalyzed into the return into Exeggutor's Protect. And then he got paralyzed the following next turn.
Oh. What a world. What a world is all I have to say with that one.
Return probably would have 2-tapped. If you got lucky with the berries and things like that. Probably would have 2-tapped Alolan Exeggutor. Definitely would have 3-tapped through Berry. If Rob at one point said "fuck me" in chat, and that's exactly what it was. This match was more RNG winning than Tristan actually winning. Not to say that Tristan's strategy wasn't sound, but I mean it's one of those controversies where like, did he really deserve to earn this win? Not even deserve, just earn the win. I don't know. So.
That's like Alolan Exeggutor with that performance too. I mean, it's one of those things where Alolan Exeggutor in the right scenario can definitely be good, or it's going to take one move and die. So here we saw the upside of that, which is, I mean, that's what you want for a lower tier mon, basically.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and bring up who we got next. It was Kyle getting the +2 over M1, a match where the tide turned very quickly.
Oh my gosh, I thought we were going into a sweep one way, and then all of a sudden Kyle came and reverse sweeps it the other way. It was oh my gosh, momentum is a big deal.
I gotta say, the first thing that I noticed was, much like you predicted, Manny, Stunfisk came in and was just basically a big ol' hard counter to Coco.
Yeah. I mean, Stunfisk did his job. And then Mawile did his job. I don't know where... I feel like Mawile could have Swords Dance before Hydreigon came out. And then I don't know if Hydreigon wants to take a +2 Sucker Punch. I don't know where all the Sucker Punches went. He Sucker Punched Lucha and died, right? And then he just started play roughing, and I don't know why he didn't just stick to the Sucker Punch plan.
With Hawlucha, he went with play.
Oh no, Hawlucha, he missed the high jump.
Yeah,
kick.
High jump kick missed. So, because that's the thing. I feel like M1 is hesitant to hit resisted Sucker Punches, which I'd check how the calcs go on those, like moving forward, just because of the fact that huge power or pure power, huge power is absurd. And
crazy.
At +2, even at level 50, you're looking at probably like 700 attack or something. So
like if you get a Swords Dance as Mawile, like it doesn't matter how much HP you have left because you just click Sucker Punch and the game's over.
Pretty much. I think that the only thing that M1 could have done better was probably look into what a resisted Sucker Punch might have done, as well as he did say if he did hit resisted Sucker Punch on Hydreigon, M1 had told me that he had Quick Attack on Sylveon. Pixelate
Quick Attack? What? Oh my gosh.
That he took off at the last minute because Drac talked him out of it.
Oh no! I don't know if that would have.
No, that's the thing.
Would have
Like
two things killed.
we looked at it afterward, like because Sylveon's attack is so low, it would have done like 59%. But if he hit him with that sucker punch, that's kill range right there, I think.
Oh no! Oh, don't tinker. Own your plays, man. I'm upset now that didn't get pulled out.
Because that was the only problem that I think was that M1 had two fairies in that match, which should have been more than enough for Hydreigon, except for the fact that Hydreigon was faster than both of them.
Yeah, and Hydreigon gets a shit ton of coverage, dude. Like Earth Power, he gets
Fire Blast.
He get Sludge Wave, Sludge.
He used Acid Downpour in that match, so I'm assuming that it was a Sludge Bomb.
He also has access to Flash Cannon.
That was the other thing, that I thought the Flash Cannon was coming when, that's why it was tough for Sylveon, or it would have been tough for Sylveon, was I assumed a Flash Cannon was going to hit it.
But, I mean, if you're like AV, because I remember I ran AV Sylveon against the Hydreigon, and Flash Cannon from, like, Max Special Hydreigon is, like, 30-some%. Like, it's not as strong as you would think it is.
Well, that's with an AV though. I don't know what kind of set he was. I don't know what set he was on Sylveon.
What was his HP on Sylveon when he HP'd into Gligar and it did no damage? It hit him for neutral, and I was like, "What on earth just hit Hyper Voice?" Because it wasn't HP Ice. Did he mess up his HP, or was it Rock?
It's possible. I mean, he would have resisted HP Rock, I think, right? Or no, it would have been neutral. So I don't know. Maybe it was.
Because he roosted. No, he roosted and got rid of the... I don't know. But I'll have to ask him, because that was very confusing.
Who knows? But I think that, Hydreigon, maybe, depending on what Kyle does with it, we might find ourselves in another situation where we were too reactionary moving something down.
Yeah. Who knows? We'll see.
You wanted Dragons to fill out Tier 2. Here we are.
Yep. I've done it again, Joe. I broke the league.
Well, you'll find out. We'll talk later because you have a match against Kyle this week. So if Hydreigon,
yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna
because as soon as something affects you, you're immediately like, no, we gotta do something about this, Joe.
No, that's not true. That is not true. Fake news, Joe. Fake news.
Moving on, we've got Mike versus Drac here. Mike getting the +2. I talked with Drac before this match took place, and I think that the Drac got a little caught up in the leads because he was 100% certain that Mike was going to lead with Galvantula. And as such, he built Comfey in a way where, you lead Comfey, you lead Galvantula, you use HP Fire on Galvantula the first time, and then it dies the next turn to Draining Kiss. And then you have Defog to get rid of the webs. And because of that, when Aggron came out, he didn't have anything he could do.
Aggron is just one big steel wall, dude. He doesn't care about shit. Filter is so dumb. I mean, that's just... like, you gotta play that game. You gotta be a little more adaptive. Like, if you lose turn 1, like, you gotta... get it back in the mid game. You don't want to. That's why picking your leads, like, you can't, like, you need to pick a good, like, a solid lead. You can't just hope that somebody, leads with sticky webs.
Right, and the other thing there as well, Comfey was basically his only good answer for Sableye, because I don't think he had any other fairy moves anywhere, which would have been, could have helped at least. He had the opportunity to put D-Gleam on Nihilego, I think, but it wouldn't have killed, because I think what Mike was saying was he was going full Special D on it, so... it's weird with Sableye's defenses, because I assume if you have a Calm Mind set, you go full defense, because then at that point, you can Calm Mind up, but then you have Prankster Willow to do whatever you please, so defense isn't as important, so go put everything in special defense and hit. I don't know, it's weird.
I mean, that could have came back and bit him if Drac got a little bit luckier with the rolls.
That too.
He probably lived on like 1% at one point, didn't he?
It survived with 2% and 3% at different times in the match.
Yes. Yeah, numerous times. If he just got a different roll, like, this game is entirely different.
No, I agree. And sometimes that's just how it is.
That's the game, man. You live and die by the rules, man. It's chess up to a point, which is why I like the rules, because you make calculated decisions on good and bad things, and sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't.
No, exactly. And so, but much like both M1 and Drac losing did absolutely nothing to change their positions in the standings, because everybody in both of those divisions are 1-1 right now.
Parity.
Parity in every division other than Troze. We'll get there.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that division.
Next, we've got Dan versus Dave here. Manny, this match was a timeout loss.
That's crazy, man. When the game ended, I thought that Dave rage quit. And I was like, what the heck? Did he really just quit? And then I looked up and I was like, oh, he timed. I was so, like, not excited, but like, I was like, MLG air horns were in my, head.
You see, I felt a bit of the opposite watching it live. It was like the loser game show sound went off basically when it happened. Just like
watching it live must have been so much fun, because you were probably sitting there going, no.
Well, there were times where both Dan and Dave were getting precariously close to the timer running out. Dan had like 10 seconds left at one point, and as soon as it hit 30 seconds, like me, James, and somebody else were all just like, watch the timer.
That's great, dude. That was great.
But
Nerf stall.
But yeah, it went the other direction because Dave said he just wasn't fast enough getting it off, because it got to a certain point. Dan only had 2 physical attackers in Mamo and his build for Kingdra.
Right.
And he needed to get over Chansey. And that really wasn't going to happen. Like, Kingdra needed 2 Dragon Dances to do that, to get over Chansey. And Dave had Azumarill and Rotom Wash, which just come in on that waterfall. They take decent damage, but they force out Kingdra in both instances.
Yeah, like pretty much immediately.
So, really, I think that Dan was literally saved by the bell in this match, too, because with the +2 waterfall, he needed to kill Azumarill because it had Z-Belly Drum.
Yeah, I was going to say he was Z-Belly Drum. Yeah, so he would have healed up to full, and then he would have been +6, and then the game would have been over.
Right, exactly, because you go from 16% back to 100, hit the belly drum, you're at 50. Although, it's tough to say, too, because Kingdra, with its 4 times water resistance, a +6 Aqua Jet, I don't remember where, I think it was low, because it was toxic at that point, so Aqua Jet probably would have killed it, especially because it also got rain boosted. But then at that point, too, yeah, Tornadus would have came in and ate an Aqua Jet and died. So,
what a scary. It was a +6 Azumarill in the rain. Like, you think you win at that point.
Honestly, like I think I was talking with M1 and Drac as the battle was going on, as we were all watching it, and it came down to the point where, like, Politoed was going to come in and set up rain and then almost immediately die. And I was thinking, no, don't set up rain, just because Azumarill becomes that much more powerful.
Yeah. I don't know, man. He got lucky with the timeout. Well, we'll see.
He really did. So I'm excited that our rule change for the timer has paid off, in a sense.
Yeah, for us at least. I'm pretty sure Dave feels pretty salty now.
I mean, I would, but yeah, he can talk to James about that.
Because that goes from a +2 loss to, like, he would have won.
Like, yeah, a +1 win, probably.
Yeah, that sucks.
Well, that's
what you get for picking Chansey Mega Sableye.
Who both died from one hit in those matches.
Karma. Van stall.
Next we got the match that was causing the controversy, as we said. James over Murphy +4. Now, I'm pretty sure... Now, because we don't come across Baton Pass very often, Baton Pass has had a storied history both in OU and the league itself, where not many people really used it. There was a time, I believe when we started, where Baton Pass, you could pass everything but speed, right, in OU?
I don't know the OU variant. All I know is our rules of baton pass have changed. Before it was, you could pass any stat, but only one of them. And then we changed it to then you can only pass the speed, and then now we're just banning it outright. Because at some point things just become so neutered. Now, like, I don't want a complicated ban list that's like, oh, because like we were already treading there with like we allow Protein Greninja but not Battle Bond Greninja, and then like we allow Lando I but only the Sand Force one. Like I just didn't want any like convoluted ban lists where like because we mess up a lot with the basic rules that we have.
Right.
I don't want a more convoluted ban list.
No, I agree. So yeah, banning Baton Pass outright, that's fine. That was a good idea. So because it's something that I might have been aware of that you could pass a sub, but we never really, and it's not like James won the match because of that either. It's just when it happened, it's like, oh.
Yeah. No, yeah. When you just left a bad taste in your mouth.
Especially, and again, it's not like anybody expected, not like anybody expected Incineroar to come in with weakness policy.
Yeah, he was like +4 speed, weakness policy, power trip.
Which, once again, much like Throat Chop, the one time James decided to bring in everybody, I immediately was like, what the fuck is power trip?
Power trip's like Power trip is like
dark stored power.
It's dark stored power, but like it's primarily used in VGC. Like I've never seen it in singles Incineroar before. Like I knew what it was when he pulled it out, but like I was like, oh my god, what a madman! Because like Incineroar doesn't set up, so like that's why like power trip. It's crazy.
And he gets the +4 because of that. Which well deserved a win that it's in classic James fashion, I would say.
Yeah, classic James, just pulling something out of nowhere,
forcing us to change the rules of the league.
Yeah, god damn him.
And finally, we have Mitch getting the +1 over Jack on a match that took place on Thursday. Now it's understandable. You don't want to take the +0 win for a match that doesn't happen. It's just not fun. But do you also want to lose?
I don't know, man. It's a tough call.
Now there were some questionable calls in the match here. Mitch is a busy boy, at least for the first few weeks of the season, so it makes his time very limited. But Jack was a good sport, waited until Thursday to battle him, and then lost +1. One bigger problem I think that happened was Lando was left in against Zapdos, and it might just be that you don't know. I know because it's, Zapdos was one of the, was a Season 2 Pokemon for me, or Season 3 Pokemon, I think. Zapdos has maybe 3 moves that you always put on there: Heat Wave, HP Ice, Thunderbolt/Discharge, and Volt Switch, Roost, Defog, anything like that. HP Ice was going to be coming, and Lando was going to be dead, no matter what.
Yeah, and was that offensive Zapdos, too? Because I thought it did a ridiculous amount of damage.
The thing is, Zapdos' special attack isn't bad. It's like, that's the reason it's so good, is it can fend for itself, and it's a 4 times HP Ice on Lando, who, like an HP Ice from almost anything will at least do a decent amount of damage because it is more physically defensive too.
Yeah, Zapdos, like his set's so basic, but it's one of those minds that we always talk about. It's like, I'm at me. What are you gonna do about it?
And
he's just so good, you don't have to change anything.
Yeah, and depending on what Lando had, he may have only been able to, like, even at that point, a defensive Zapdos may have been able to take a +2 Supersonic Sky Strike, depending on how it was built, which is why I'm assuming he might have went for Swords Dance again because of that, just, due to the fact that Earthquake wasn't going to hit it, and if he had, like, U-turn or anything, that wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's a risky call, though, because Lando does get rock coverage, so So, like, that could have easily been Z-Rock. And Zapdos, I don't know if Zapdos is living in Z-Rock.
No. I don't even know if it's living a +2 Stonehenge.
Right, exactly. So
that's something that Jack can take into consideration for next time. But really, I think the MVP of the match was Liepard for Mitch, just because of it spread T-Waves around so well.
yeah, I mean, Liepard's one of those mons that you just like. It's a lower tier mon, so like the little things help out a lot. Like again, like I know we talked about this in a previous podcast that like we need to use status a little more.
Yeah.
And like status paid off big time for a lot of people this week, Tristan.
Tristan, Garrison, and Mitch can all attribute because the sleep powders again getting off
sleep
the Garrison.
Powders, Paras, Prankster Will was for Mike. Like that stuff is the real deal. So just having like a lower tier mon, even just spread T-Wave and then die, and then like hit a few knockoffs and stuff. Like get rid of items, get some knowledge on sets, things like that. Totally worth for Liepard.
No, I agree, because it was able to slow down Cloyster, and after Shell Smash, Cloyster wasn't able to do anything to Superior, although I would have liked to have seen if he had Icicle Spear? No, what's the other one? Ice Shard. Excuse me.
Shard.
Right, because I feel like +2 Ice Shard from Cloyster may have killed Superior, but I don't know. I don't know how bulky Superior is, really.
I don't know either. Gosh, it would have been a call. Like, I don't know. It's a good one.
Would have been close. But yeah, that's just, I think that loss for Jack was just basically things to remember for the rematch. Just, just simple missteps.
Yeah, nothing all too crazy. It wasn't like a mishap in team building. Like that, I feel like fucking up your team building is a lot worse of a problem than like messing up something in a battle. That could just be attributed to knowledge.
Right.
Like not knowing HP Ice on Zapdos, or like not even trying to scout for it, or getting abused by Prankster, T-Wave, Liepard. Like that's just stuff that you learn as you go through.
Right, exactly. So those were the battles this week here. I have written in my notes here that the next thing we talk about is Baton Pass, but we already did that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the trades and pickups for the week here. It was a pretty slow week. Trades and pickups wise, we had Drac here. He dropped Braviary, much to my disappointment, because I am a big proponent for Braviary, for Swellow, who...
Love it.
It's a surprise that Swellow wasn't taken, considering it's a Tier 5 staple, almost.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Swellow has to be drafted every year. Like, it can run physical, and it can run special, and it's just like an endgame sweeper.
No, exactly, and it's, you get that Guts Flame Orb Facade, or you get that Specs Boom Burst. And yeah, if it comes in late and the Pokemon, you have rocks out, things are kind of getting worn down through the match, you just keep slamming it, and you get Scrappy too for the Boom Burst variant, right?
Yeah, it does. So nothing can hide from Swellow.
So whoever has Drac this week, be careful of that. And an interesting move, I think, here. Rob decided to drop Blissey, and he picked up Mandibuzz.
For a tank.
It may have been because he already has Snorlax as a normal type. Maybe. He didn't want to, as far as fighting type weaknesses go, those are the only two that he has. Or those were the only two that he had. But... I'm assuming that, you want Snorlax in there to just be a more damaging Blissey, pretty much.
Yeah. By having two huge threats that are both normal types, you're basically daring your opponent to bring fighting types, and that's no bueno for either one of them. So it's probably a good decision to keep only one on the roster.
Right. Well, so those were the only trades and pickups. Let's go back to our start screen here because it's time for the Conference Cup date, Manny. It was only Coliseum playing Troze this week. Only Rob and Thomas were the only Troze people, and they both lost. So your division, wow, let me know if you've heard this one before, Manny. Your division is seven points right now in the Conference Cup, when last season it was tough for people to get like 4 points.
We are rolling right now. Cup boys. I'm so excited.
I believe I said, to you at least, that the way that this is shaking out, like with our next week, which is a mostly Conference Cup match week,
Yes.
everybody's playing. All the teams are playing. Troze has 4 people playing. They've got 4 people playing in week 9 as well. So they really need to get their Conference Cup points like now because of all of the divisions. They play. I mean, everybody plays the same amount of Conference Cup matches, but they have the fewest weeks to do it.
Yikes.
So they're already really behind. And let's take a look at week 3 here real quick. The battles going in, as you can see, of course, the background representing their division: red for Stadium, blue for Coliseum, green for Snap, yellow for Troze. We do have 2 normal matches, and let's get into commish picks here then while we do this. The first match that we have here, the first normal match, Dave versus M1 here. I am going to go with my boy M1 because I've picked against him both times here, and I feel like I've regretted it.
I don't know, man. He's really bringing it this season, but I think Dave's record. I know it's week 2, but Dave's record is not what his record should be. He hits that Z belly jump, he's 2-0.
That's true.
So I'm going with Dave. Dave looks really strong. He's using Chansey Mega Save Lie to perfection, basically. So as long as he doesn't have a misstep like he kind of did last week versus Dan, and losing those 2 kind of very quickly, like if he can just hold those 2 together into the late game, I think it becomes a real big problem.
And Mario chose Dave as well. For the second non-conference cup match, we've got Tristan taking on Gage here. Manny, since these were your 2 first opponents, you'd probably have the best knowledge of how that's going to go here. I'm going to go with Gage on this one. I feel like this is where Tristan can like really bring out the power of Trick Room, but I think Gage is smart enough to get around that.
I don't know. I think that Tristan's full Trick Room team is going to give Gage a problem. After game planning for both of these teams, I'm going to be honest that I had a much harder time game planning for Tristan. So it's just by his team. Taking the players out of it, that's not an insult to anyone. I think that Tristan's team was just much harder to game plan around.
And Mario chose Tristan as well. So, all right, time for the Conference Cup matches. These are the big ones this week.
Oh, put my pluses in just now.
Not that the other ones aren't big, but still. So, first off, we've got Dan taking on James here. Now, if you remember last season, Manny, James had a really tough time with Dan. So, I'm thinking that's going to carry over to this season here. Just for some reason, James was almost completely powerless both times that he faced Dan. I'm going to take Dan +2.
That was his championship year, man. He was destined for the cup, So James is going to come back with revenge. James +2.
And Mario gave James a +2 as well. So next we've got yourself taking on Kyle here. Kyle is never an easy opponent. Kyle will give you trouble, and as such, I'm going to give Kyle the upset. You asked me before the season started how many times I was going to pick against you, and I said 3, I believe. This will be my first of those.
Man, fuck you, Joe. I'm going with myself, but I'm only going +1 because I don't feel too good about it.
Fair enough. And I forget if I said +2 for Kyle for me. Mario has more faith in you. He's taking you +3.
Yes, probably a mistake.
Next, we've got Drac taking on Murphy. This is going to be a tough match for Drac, definitely. I think that Murphy and Garrison in that division, they're definitely the headliners, as it were, of Troze. And it's going to be tough to get around, but I think Drac's going to find a way to do it. I got him +3.
Nice. I don't know. I really like what Murphy's been doing as of late. Like late last season into this season. I think he's emerging into, a staple player in this league. So I'm gonna go Murphy +3.
Okay, and Mario has Drac +2 on that one. Next up, we've got Jack taking on Garrison here, the man who brought him to the dance, into the league. I think that this is going to be a student has not yet bested the master situation. So I'm taking Garrison +3.
I am also taking Garrison +3. But if I was a gambling man, I might go over +3. Like if I had an over/under set at 3.5, I'd probably take the over.
Dang. And Mario thinks it's going to be like a gritty tooth and nail battle with Jack taking a +1 win where the student becomes the master.
I don't know, man. Garrison has performed super well since his inception in this league, so
my thoughts
I don't
exactly.
know.
Yeah. And finally, well, no, not finally, excuse me. The next one we've got here is Mike taking on Rob here. I feel bad choosing against Rob. I do. But I gotta go Mike +3 on this one.
Man. I'm gonna go Mike +2, but I'm not gonna feel good about it. Mike has this thing where he can't battle Rob, but like Rob just looks so bad this season.
Hey, you can't pin the Tristan loss on anything other than
you can't, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so I don't know. It's gonna be, but then again, whenever I pick Mike, I always get wrong. So we all picked them. Spoilers. So Rob's definitely got the win now.
And yes, Mario chose Mike +2 as well here, much like yourself, because so we're sweeping it across the board here for Mike, which is never a good time or never ends well for us, I believe.
Never. I don't think it's ever in the history of. It only works when like one person picks Mike.
And finally, we've got Mitch taking on Thomas here. If Thomas is gonna get a fucking win this season, if he's gonna get his head out of his ass and get a win, it's going to be this win against Mitch. But I don't think that's gonna happen, so I got Mitch +4.
The straight disrespect by Joe. You got to give Thomas a little bit more credit. You know, he's a previous champion. You know, that's about it. That's all his resume is. I'm also taking Mitch +4.
I toe the line for Thomas a lot for that undefeated season that he has, that rainbow badge. I think is it's the best achievement that we can look.
What have you done for me lately?
What have you done for me lately? I mean, you got to think that was 4 seasons ago. That was the Four Seasons Hotel.
That was 4 seasons ago, and it was also when we had 8 people in the league.
That's true. Wow, can you believe we're coming up on a time where we're going to be hitting more time with 16 plus people in the league than we are with 8.
That's crazy, man. I'm excited.
Mario took Mitch +3, by the way. So,
boy,
the only two sweeps that we have are the ones that involve Rob and Thomas. No surprise.
Honestly, they can go either way.
I'd like for both of them to lose just because week 4 we have Rob and Thomas facing off, and I want them to both be winless.
I know. They got to go one more. Throw for the ultimate showdown.
Oh, and last week, by the way, you and I, Manny, went 5 and actually everybody went 5-3. I'm sorry. So
good.
Because it was basically sweeps week. I chose Dan when you guys chose Dave, which could have very easily went the other direction, and I chose Murphy when you guys chose James. So, and we all lost when we all chose Drac and Jack. So, everybody went 5-3. You and me are still tied 9-7 as the front runners. Mario at 8-8 here. We made a lot different changes this week, week 3 here. So somebody, if the cards fall correctly, can pull ahead in the commish picks. And let's go ahead and just get the week 3 off the screen here. As we're back to our normal splash screen, I believe that means, Manny, it is time to close the book on this week's installment of Inside the PFL. However, there is one more thing. Going into week 3, Manny, the first big Conference Cup week, would you say it's the most important week of the season?
Joe, this is Conference Cup week, basically, man. We have so many Conference Cup battles. We need to get the points for our squads, all right? We need to put our division rivalry aside, and we need to squash the enemies, okay? Of course, this is, and everyone and their grandmother is 1-1, Joe. Okay, so this is the most important week because now you can pull ahead. Okay, week 3 is just leaps and bounds more important than week 2. Okay, and as we get forward, like who knows what's going to be week 4? I think week 3 might be more important than week 4 at this very moment.
Whoa! Hold on. I'll hold your horses on that one. That we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So then I think for Inside the PFL here, it is time to sign off. I am Joe.
Manny.
And everybody out there in Pokemon Land, enjoy your battles and have fun.
Good luck, guys. Peace.